Are we here? Yes, I'm here. Yeah. If we lose the forest and we lose the biodiversity, basically we lose our planet, and there's just not enough funds to go around protecting forests, because most of those funds are public funds from governments. So it's like, how can we, like, attract, mobilize new sources of funds so that we can protect those forests and other global commons like the forest, like mangroves and wetlands. And so I've been working on this idea where we issue tokens as a new currency, and it'd be like a nature coin, where that coin basically reflects how much nature is preserved. And nature preservation means like a secured asset-based security. I mean, how do we make nature into an asset that we can then trade and use to purchase green energy, use to purchase more sustainable goods and products as we move into the future. So just that angle about, can we conserve nature? Can we say nature is like a secured product, and we know what the cost would be, helping the local communities to preserve, creating, paying for ecosystem services, ensuring livelihoods. And that value is basically reflected into a coin that we can use to purchase our Starbucks and other goods and services on, as we move forward with more and more cryptocurrency. So in a nutshell, that's it. Yeah. And then it gets complicated, like in terms of how are we going to do it, and how do we make it happen? How do we do the monitoring? How do we secure the forest? How do we make sure that the payments do happen? How do we ensure trust at each part of the value chain? And basically, how do we build all those smart contracts, between the landowners, those people who live in the land, the project managers, right up to the private investors who would want to invest in those tokens or hold that money and have that security that money will be preserved into the future. So it's like preserving money in parallel with preserving nature. So although this sounds like a bit like, it's definitely, it's not sci-fi like like Adam's images, but that's the model. So I just want to, say it out in those few little minutes, and open it up to whoever is in the room to even imagine how they see that and how that will be possible. So anybody in the room, you're welcome to have the conversation. We have about 15 minutes more. And if you want to dig into any part of this full stream of value and trust building, we can dig into that. So go for it. Anyone? Robin.
Like scribbling away.
So I'm going to unmute everyone here if I can. So it looks like we don't have more of a conversation.
Okay. Can we have a little, essentially like a dedicated spray bottle or something like that next to the refrigerator, next to other things that are fomites that multiple people are going to be interacting with? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, so I guess here we are.
I'll pop in and say I don't know the
Yeah,
type of language to
yeah,
really articulate these questions, and I know I
yeah,
was a tad late for hopping on, so I missed
yeah,
that
yeah,
introduction that I'll go back
yeah,
to.
yeah,
Perhaps for someone to understand, like from an artistic point of view,
right.
I love the way, even just like my ears were totally ringing when you spoke about prosperity in nature and in finance. And I've never heard those two worlds sort of go down a road together.
Yeah.
Um, so sorry if this is repetitive to anyone, but if you wouldn't mind something that would be new, perhaps of your journey to finding those two correlations.
Right. Well, I mean, traditionally, I mean, we have money which used to be based on gold. You know, there used to be a power on that, and then we got off the gold standard. So what if we had a money that was not based on gold, but based on a nature standard, right? And the nature standard would mean the standard of conserving nature as we know it, be it in the wild forest of the Amazon, right up to green spaces in cities. So it sounds like not doable, but it is really doable, and not only doable, it is almost necessary that we don't rebuild and fast track an economy that is out of sync with nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm writing everything down.
I guess you're the only one who is talking, so let's have a chat. I mean, I didn't want to come up with all the slides and the boxes and this, it's just like, because I've been listening to so many conversations, including yours earlier this afternoon, which I think it's so cool just to be in the flow of this, and to give our mind a break from the other conversations. Hey, Marcello is on here.
So good.
Yeah.
This reminds me, someone once said to me, and I always thought it was super interesting, and I was like, pinpoint for them to elaborate, turning like oil into soil, and they were on a whole other sort of project. And this is reminding me that I need to catch up with them and like perhaps even connect you to, because it was like the kind of forward thinking steps that we need to be met with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you look at like global GDP, global GDP is possibly at par with the amount of nature we have conserved today, right? And the more we go on exploiting nature for the current economic use, and if we keep on destroying it, basically we may have a bit of a better economy in the short term, but in the long term will just self-destruct.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are thinking about how to move into the future in a harmonious way with this little planet, which our space vehicle riding through the universe, which is our common playground, then we would have to find a mechanism that balances itself into and how we use this new currency to buy goods and services, and what does it mean? So you buy goods and services, but at the same time you're conserving nature.
That's huge.
I guess I probably just screwed up my presentation here.
No.
No.
I'm the only one who's unmuted. This is so fascinating and really imperative information.
Hi, Marcello, I see you're online.
Yeah, I'm actually running 2 Zoom sessions. I just came here to give you some more support.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have been following a couple of sessions today, and some of them have been so amazing, some of them so technical, and some of them like, you know, just super cool. So I thought I'd come out with just like a super cool, super high level statements to talk about a nature coin, a nature money, a nature-based money, and to see how that flows within the group. And looks like I just have you and Robin. So the good side is we'll be able to hand over in time. We still got 10 minutes, so.
Or maybe you should do some storytelling, how we came up with the idea. I wasn't here the first half of the session, but you use this as an opportunity to get feedback on the concept.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the first 10 minutes was the guy from the previous session who was still, you know, upset that he got cut off and stuff like that. But he did a great job. And so, how did I come up with this idea? Well, basically, a tree spirit spoke to me and said that we're dying, and I'm sure a lot of other people have had that experience, and that we have to find a way forward into the future, that we are in sync, that we can grow our economies, our societies, our cultures in sync with nature. And throughout the world, nature has been destroyed at like alarming speeds. And we all know that it's nobody's fault. That's how the system is. You know, a forest which is growing is silent and not included into the economy. It only gets included into the economy once it gets cut off and used for wood, for production. So somehow it's like the mother's work, the mother's value into the family, which is not financially accounted for. The father brings home the cash, but the mom's at home raising the children. So we would have to find a way that we can value or revalue nature as it is standing into our economic system. And if we are unable to do that, then the destruction is normal. The destruction is necessary in terms of the growth. Yeah. So that's been like the way forward. And I see there is one MVP subject. And where do I need to take it live? Very good question. So right now we've got a couple of land. I mean, we've got two models how we acquire land. We can lease it from the government, or we can actually purchase it. And our cost is, that's a single cost, and the cost is also how we pay for the ecosystem services, and how we basically blockchain the whole thing, the smart contracts that is required. And on the other side, which is on the let's say in our market side, we've got companies who have to buy carbon for them to go carbon neutral or even carbon negative. So we have to ensure that they are able to purchase our carbons, which are on the coin, and that coin basically reflects a secured asset which is protected, which is the forest. And so we have a revenue stream from the carbon. We have a potential revenue stream from the biodiversity, which is protected. We have other revenue streams, which is like sustainable forestry or sustainable tourism, but you know, that should only come in as a 1.1 or a 1.2 or a 1.3, because the 1.0 has to be the preservation itself. So we have a one-pager. Well, there's like a 36 slides that describes the whole thing, and there's a one-pager that sort of like describes how we're going to set this up. And I'm currently discussing with the Swiss government and how we're going to set this up to fast-track conservation projects around the world and help governments to mobilize private finance, which is one of the biggest challenges because it's not the couple of hundred million that comes from governments alone that is going to help to conserve forests around the world. We really need to fast track and mobilize private finance to such an extent that basically the only way forward would be that it reflects our money. So so the MVP would be to get the flows right. That means we are able to secure a specific land, and with that land, we built a JIN coin, which is a joint impact nature coin. The coins get bought off by in the voluntary market to get started off before getting into the regulatory market for carbon, and basically allow the Greta generation, you and I, to start off buying those coins, even if it's for $10. And so each of our $10, we can buy huge chunks of land in the Amazon or in the Congo, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Any other questions? I mean, if anybody's interested to like dig into the more details, then we've got time after that, because here we only had like about 15 minutes, and we've got 5 minutes to go. So if there's any other question, I'd be happy to further discuss that. Much shallow, maybe. I see some other people.
I know the story quite well, so just give a chance to others to ask.
Right. So I'm just going to unmute as many people as I can. So, if somebody has something to say, like, save the coconut trees, or, talk about psychedelics and plants in forests, we can hop onto that.
I feel like someone's got to talk, so if I interrupt, when would these coins be available? Do you have any sort of estimated time when it would be part of our?
Yeah, well, right now, I mean, I'm like on the design board and designing it like for the last 9 months. Wow. And I think like a child, like, it's almost ready to be born, and it would take us about 6 months to make the coins be available. But cool. I'm pushing that for as further away as possible, so that we get it right, and we get not only the tech right, we get the language right, and we get to speak at the multiple levels that are necessary, and that includes talking with people who know nothing about cryptos and nothing, and who feel that we have to, find a new way forward where we can, be in sync with nature, and at the same time, buy and sell and save money as we move into the future, So, and then this coronavirus came on, and so that's like created a double shock on everyone. So it's like, it's I rather be in a position where I calculate 7 times and just cut once. So we live in a fantastic age where building technology is very you can do it very quickly, but what do we want to build? This we have to be, spend a bit more time. So so I don't know. So I'm gonna perhaps give myself, 1 more month and see how this COVID goes. And is this gonna raise consciousness about the nature, or is this gonna raise, consciousness about saving companies rather than people? And have we forgotten nature? And to see how that balances. Are we ready to say that we're going to save the world in sync with nature? I mean, are we really ready to do that? I mean, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, you know, are they still on the agenda? Are they still on the table? Are they, like, you know, off the table? So it's like it's crazy times. I think, like, all the cards are thrown in the air. And there are a lot of tech people out there. I mean, like, you know, Adam's great work, and there's so many other you know, great people doing great work, including the presentation you made, Robin, you know, about being aligned. I think that we can come up with a product. If we are not aligned, it's just not going to work. It's just going to be another piece of noise on the wall, and, you know, and that's definitely not what I want to do. I don't want to create another product on the shelf, but rather to see if we can, you know, get it right. So if jinbank can be that hub that issues those coins and those trusts and the smart contracts among the different people, that landowners can come forth and say, you know, we have this land, we want to conserve this forest, you know, we need to get paid for our people to look after this, we need project managers to, you know, and we can get, you know, drone imaging to make sure that, you know, that asset is protected as we move forward within the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Then we can issue those coins, and to people, you know, sitting in Norway or in Singapore who says, yes, I trust that coin because, you know, that actually reflects through a whole chain of trusted values that that asset is there. Just like that gold is supposed to be in the bank. But, you know, even gold is not in the bank these days, you know. But that's another issue. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was incredible.
Yeah. So is there any other question, or can we, like,